I know you guys have a pretty long and intensive hiring process. It seems to work. You seem to have a pretty good idea of what you're looking for. How long did it take you to build out that process, and how has that evolved over time?
Nathan, it's a process that I've been working on for over 20 years. And the way that it's evolved over time is it's just gotten more clear, and we don't skip steps. Now I say that, but I also have to make the admission that like a year and a half ago, I skipped some steps and made a huge mistake. And so the important parts of our process are this. So one, we put out a job and we look at a lot of applications. We screen like crazy because that initial screening of all the applications gives you an idea of what's available. And then that also gives you an idea of like what the pay range is. Like you kind of thought you knew going in, but then it gives you a lot more when you screen the bulk of applications. We have everybody who applies with us do a DISC profile, so we know their personality tendencies coming in. And then we have a clear process of, we do a cultural interview, which is about 15 minutes, where we understand more about the person. If they pass that, then they go into a skill set interview where we talk to them about the position. Then they do a test. Then they interview with their executive team. And then if they get through all of that, they're hired. And I think that the key for me is that over the years, we've just become more committed to the process. Nathan, I think hiring is one of those things where it's so easy to take a shortcut. You're like looking for a salesperson. You have a bunch of resumes. You talk to somebody who's great and you're like, oh, I should just pull the trigger. And whenever we've done that, sometimes we've gotten away with it. But more often than not, a month later, we're having a conversation like we should have followed our process. Right.
And is that the same process, whether it's a virtual assistant in the Philippines or a US assistant in person?
It's very similar. So here's how we look at it. If we're bringing in somebody who's going to be a W-2 team member, if we're bringing somebody onto the team, there's a little bit more rigorous of a process, but here's why we feel the same way. Even if we're going to be, like Nathan, you've helped us find 3 extraordinary team members in the Philippines.
Thank you.
And my whole team loves them. And, we've had trouble hiring in the Philippines before and getting like a good skill set match and a good cultural match and people who really want to get things done. But the people you found us have been extraordinary. And, I know we put them through the same process with you, which doesn't make it super easy on you. But here's why that's so important. I think a lot of CEOs don't realize that anytime you add a member of your team, whether it's contract, outsource, international, whatever, the rest of the team assimilates that member. And so if you treat people like they're disposable, your team will feel disposable. Right. So even if we're bringing in a contract member from the Philippines, like as an example, one of the people who you helped us find, Orvi, we used her as an independent contractor, not introduced to our team, for about a month to make sure that it was going to work. And then once we felt really comfortable with her, we brought her into our team huddles. We brought her onto the team officially. And so, not only is it the same, regardless of where we are, we're just as rigorous, because here's what's important to me is that once somebody comes onto the team, they stick. Let's get real. Look at the statistics. Over 50% of what you learn in a business degree is 5 years old as you're learning it. Right. So you're actually learning history when you're supposed to be learning how to move forward.